Hey everyone, welcome to episode 250.
250.
You know what show you're listening to. You tuned into it, so I don't need to remind you that it's Double Bubble with Girk and Keek.
Yeah.
Hi, Keek.
Look at this. We put makeup on for each other.
I know. We're actually doing some video clips. So,
We're trying something new. You know what we're going to try? We're going to try to actually promote it. I know, that's crazy. What? No one said that we were good business women. And now people can see the coffee mug that I make fun of you for drinking that's the size of a jacuzzi that you could literally fit your entire body in.
if they see the clip, so you're making it sound like we're doing the show as a whole video. We're not. We're still
not.
audio, but we
Yeah.
got this fancy new platform
Yeah.
that will be selecting clips that hopefully will be reels, and you'll come across them and see them and love them and like them. They'll be on our Facebook page for sure. But you'll get to take a little look at Girk and a little look at Keek and make
And
your
who
own
knows?
decisions.
Maybe we'll even make one of them fancy Instagram pages. What?
And maybe I'll meet my true love because they see me.
Maybe.
And I will get off this dating app nightmare. You know what, Keek?
What?
I'm afraid that I have decided that I might be the Black Widow of dating apps.
Oh, okay. I love that for us. Hang on, I have to write that down. I like it.
So I think I mentioned in the last show that I had met someone briefly and it was like coming in fast and going out even faster.
Yeah.
And then there's another guy who came in super hot. And
Yeah.
we had a great date.
Love bomby? Love bomby?
Not so much love bomby, but like the hello beautiful, hello babe. Then start, like getting a little bit more sexual.
That's a little love bomby. That's a little love bomby. When you've just started dating someone, or not even dating, I feel like on dating apps, you have to use different terminology because like out in the real world before the interwebs, when we went on dates, if you met somebody at a bar or whatever, and then you actually had a date and then you had a couple of dates, you're like, oh, we're dating. But on the dating apps, you have to chat a little first, right? Usually you message back and forth and then you decide whether you want to see each other in person and then you kind of figure it out. And by the time you have the first date, it's like, oh, this guy that I'm dating. And it's like, but you're not really dating him. You had one date. So the fact that like when you first start talking to somebody, when they, start off right away with the hello beautiful, good night beautiful, hello gorgeous, like that to me is a little bit of love bomb. A little bit.
And I can tell you that 98% of the people do that. And I don't necessarily, and I think some slower than others, but how are you, babe? It's because you go back and forth with texting. There's that false sense of intimacy that you've already established a rapport with this person, even though you've never met them. But this guy, okay.
Right. Because I'm not saying that like there's a difference between guys who are love bombers and this kind of, I think my point is that
Yeah, what's your
on
point?
the dating sites, get to the fucking point. I think on the dating sites, I feel like it's like it sets them up to be love bombers because yes, you're in this weird kind of false reality, which we've talked about in previous shows. You're in this weird false reality where you do have to talk to each other a little bit. You text, and anybody can be amazing and witty and bantery when you're not seeing somebody in person.
Yeah.
You can be, and so I think, before you know it, it's like, good morning, babe, good night, babe. And you're like, I haven't even met you yet, man. Like, I haven't even met you yet.
Or talked on the phone, though. There's nuances with it, So the second gentleman came in also really hot and heavy, but we had a pretty hot first date. It was pretty hot.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty hot. So, I mean, we kissed, but it wasn't like anything sexual. So he comes over. Gosh, was this last week already? Maybe the week before. No, only a week ago.
Time is in a vacuum. I have no idea.
Only a week ago. I so liked our energy. I so liked our conversation. He's like, I would really like to pursue you, date you exclusively.
Yeah.
Can we make this happen? And I'm like, Are you being
Yep.
serious? Because it's only the second time I've met him. So for me, this does feel a little fast. So I said, but I liked him enough. I'm like, I would love to see what is the possibility here. And so he's like, yeah, I'm totally serious. I said, okay. Now, I had discussed with him that I was friends with my ex-husband, which he did not like very much.
Yes, this has posed a problem for you multiple times, I believe. These guys that can't seem to handle you being friends with an ex.
It's like a 50-50. Some guys are like totally cool, and then you've got Mr. Midnight who actually fucking moved in with my ex-husband. So, And then actually when I told this guy this,
You did not tell him that one of your exes moved in with your other ex.
I did. I'm like, you think that's funny? Ha ha ha. He did not think that was funny at all. He did not think that was funny at all.
I think this would be one of those instances where you need to learn how to bury the fucking lead, my friend.
You hate when I bury the lead.
With me. I'm talking about with the guys.
So anyway, so on the date, we've already established that I'm friends. He's a little uncomfortable with that. I'm like, is this a deal breaker? He's like, no, it's not a deal breaker. I'm like, okay. So last week when we're sitting here having this great conversation, I have this 50th wedding anniversary to go to. And I've already asked Fish, my ex-husband, to be my escort. Not my date. We're not, he's just going to go with me. But Fish and I have an arrangement that if we have plans with each other and we get a date with somebody else, like, there's no issue. All bets off. Like, you can ditch. He can be like, I got someone to go somewhere, this thing with me, so you're not going. And vice versa. So I asked dude, hey, are you spontaneous and would you like to go with me on this date? And he said he couldn't because he had other plans. And I said, okay. And somehow I said, well, that's okay. My ex-husband's going to go with me. So whatever. I made a very off the cuff thing. He seemed to be fine with it. Nothing. The rest of the evening goes by. He asked me to be totally just like monogamous. Let's see what happens. And 8 hours later, I get he had a sleep on it, did he? He thunk on it? Apparently it was the drive home. And he said, I've decided not to pursue this with you any further because you're still having a friendship with your ex-husband. You'll never get an alpha male that will put up with this shit. You're only going to be with betas. That you're okay with this is disturbing to me. And I'm like, I was horrified. Wow. I'm like, what are you talking? Like, really? Like, so we talked on the phone and I said,
when love bombing goes bad, apparently is how that goes. When love bombing takes a turn for the worse.
So I said to him, do you want to talk about this? So we get on the phone. He goes, I don't know what there is to talk about. I said, so you're willing to not pursue this connection that you felt so strongly about that you asked me to not see anyone else because on the drive home, it bothered you that I would be spending time with my ex at a dinner that I told you about. I didn't know anybody else or else I would be alone. And he said that this has not been his experience and, that, what was the other thing he said to me?
Judgy.
Yeah, but it was just like...
very judgy.
So I just said, okay, well, if you rethink this and come to your senses... No, I didn't say that. But I said, if you...
No, I wouldn't want to be with a guy like that anyway. Fuck that.
I said, well, at the time I was kind of, shocked into this. I said, if you rethink this and you want to have a conversation about this, I'm open to it. Otherwise, it was really nice meeting you and move along. And so...
Listen, Dr. Phil, not that I was a big Dr. Phil person, but the one takeaway, the one thing, how sometimes somebody says something and it sticks in your brain? My girlfriend once said to me, everyone's the hero of their own story. That stuck in my brain forever because it's so true. But Dr. Phil said people will, tell you who they are early on and you have to listen. Well, this guy is telling you who he is.
Oh, for sure.
Or showing you like immediately and you run far and fast from somebody like that.
So now I had gotten his last name as well at that night. And I did a little Google searching.
Oh, did we do some Google sleuthing? And?
He's had a couple run-ins with the law over the years.
Yeah. Yeah. Glass houses.
Yeah, and that's what was upsetting to me. It was like,
Maybe don't be so judgy.
you're concerned that my ex-husband isn't in my past when I told you that we're just like family. And at the same time, you're holding that past against me because it's present. But you failed to tell me that within the last 2 years and 10 years before that, you've had some transgressions that you've gotten a little bit of trouble for.
Let me guess. They were anger related.
One was
Aggravated was aggravated in the title of the charge.
the 10 years before was.
I could smell that one coming.
So what was crazy is
Dodge that bullet, my friend.
That later in the day I was checking through the app for other things, and not only so usually people just unmatch you and you're not connected to them anymore, right? You just get unmatched. Dude got off, deleted his account.
Oh, you ruined him.
That's why and then the dude before,
Yeah.
he's MIA on the other dating app as well. And I'm like,
you've ruined them. You are the Black Widow.
The Black
You're
Widow.
Ruining, yeah. You're going to start getting messages from other women. Who the fuck is chasing off all of the guys
like
in
there are
the
no men
greater
on here.
Chicago area? Yeah.
That being said, though, I did have, I'm talking to 3 other gentlemen, and I did have a date on Friday and Sunday, and they were both really, really lovely and
Wait, 2 different guys? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
very, very lovely. And then I have dates this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, because it's dating, and that's the one thing. So that's a weird slippery slope, and I don't want to keep on this.
That's
for too
the
much longer.
other side too to the dating sites, is that it's kind of like the reason why I don't watch what was it, The Bachelor or Bachelorette or whatever, because I have some friends who are really into those shows, and no judgment, except totally a lot of judgment, is that it's just not real life. It's not real life. The fact that like one woman or one man, it would be okay dating, like a woman would be okay dating one guy with 16 other women, and just let's all live in a house together.
Yeah, I
But
don't see
it's
that's realistic, but
along the same lines, like with the dating sites, would you, Girk, in your real life before the internet, have dated, a handful of men at the same time?
if I lived in 1956, I would have, because I just go for sodas with Bobby from science class. We'd go to the malt shop.
2025 Girk does a whole lot more than a sody.
So
So I'm just saying, like, when you're on the dating sites, it's kind of like the accidental love bombing. It's like it also kind of promotes this other world where, because I think you and I were talking about this. Obviously, that's what dating sites are meant for. You're meant to be out there meeting. If you were just dating one person at a time and taking yourself off the site every time you felt like you had a connection with somebody, it would take you forever.
every
Because
2
it's
weeks,
a numbers game.
Every 2 weeks, they fall off.
Right. And it's a numbers game. So you just, you put yourself out there. So now you find yourself dating multiple people at the same time, when in my real life, I never would have dated more than, I don't think I ever did. And we were even talking about that because you're like, I don't know, is this weird? Am I being, am I somehow misrepresenting? Am I being untruthful? And I'm like, no, it's dating sites. Like, that's literally the name of the game, girl. Like, that's what everybody is doing. And to think that those guys aren't doing the same thing because they're on a dating site. So, it literally, that's the definition, is you're out there with, meeting other people who are also meeting a whole bunch of other people. But my thing is, how do you make sure that you're not accidentally calling them the wrong name or telling them information that you had already told them or told somebody else and thought you told them?
Well, at this point, since now in the talking game, I'm getting clear definitions of their personality types. So that's lending itself to responding to them differently. But it's like the third guy that I'm talking to, he's just been texting. I know he's been working a lot because of his job. But I'll say he's probably going to fall away. He hasn't made any real overt. These other two gentlemen, this is the second date. And I actually, after last week's dating debacle, I reached out to Macy, the love coach, who has been on our show a couple times, because I wanted to ask her about a couple things, which was, when do I introduce that I'm friends with my ex-husband? Because the reason, if I'm asked about it, I will answer. But the reason that I mention it is that I don't want to be dating someone 3, 4, 5 times a month, 6 weeks, and then come back and say, by the way, I'm friends with my ex. However, to me, it shouldn't be a big deal at all. And I didn't want to be deceiving in that. Her response is,
what did love coach say?
Her response is, wait at least 3, unless you're asked, wait 3 or 4 dates. You don't even know that they may drop off. And you may find
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Way too soon. You need to bury that fucking lead. Yeah.
So there was that. And then the other thing she said, for the point that we were just talking about, is for anybody else who's in my shoes right now, dating, all you're really doing is qualifying the people that come in. Not do they like you, but do you like them? Are they a good fit for your life? So you're qualifying whether they're what you're looking for. And you're going to find that out.
And you and I talked about that too, because when you had originally told me about the guy that judged your relationship and didn't want anything to do with you, I'm like, yeah, why? I mean, I know that and mine would be too, the initial knee-jerk reaction is to be like, but wait, why? Let's talk about this. Like, you don't understand, and this. But the other side of it is, wait a minute, why am I explaining myself? This is a deal breaker for me. Bye, Felicia. Like, why do I have to explain myself? You are vetting these people. It's not, I mean, they're vetting you, but it's more importantly, you're vetting whether or not you want to be with some fucking narcissistic asshole who can't get out of his own way or to even ask questions about it. He just assumes. Yeah, well, they're assuming that there's something romantic there still, and then I'm like explaining, and I'm like, why? And I literally. But also, you don't even know him well enough for him to be able to dictate who you can be friends with. Fuck you, man. There's the door.
Well, and again,
because what would that relationship be like?
And that's what
relationship be like? Him dictating what you eat, what you wear, who you talk to, where you work.
Well, the fascinating thing is, so a lot of men that come into my awareness are self-proclaimed alpha males, strong, charismatic, blah blah blah.
I find something wrong with someone who actually comes into it and on like date 1 or 2 calls themselves an alpha male. I would run from anybody who called themselves an alpha male on date 1.
Well, this is what I learned. Because I want a stronger guy, right? Because I'm so strong in my life.
They're using that terminology about themselves, like
right.
Okay,
yeah,
what are
the
they
caveman
do?
thing.
Well, and that's the joke between me and my dude is that he's like 80% caveman. So his whole joke is like, yeah, I see what I want. I clubbed you over the head, threw you over my shoulder, and took you into the cave.
Right. But so this is what I found out after the situation that happened last week that really changed my perspective. And maybe this will be a PSA for people that are dating, or especially the women on our show that are dating, but maybe a good litmus for the guys out there who are pursuing women.
Yeah.
There's such a thing as, we know that there's alpha male, right? Beta male. There's an alpha insecure and an alpha secure. And the differentiation that I found between the two, in very simple terms, was a secure alpha male his ego is in check. You know what I mean? So I found out that there's this differentiation between alpha males, secure and insecure. And what it came to was a secure alpha male, he's got his ego, like his ego is good. He's grounded, he's calm, he's confident.
Yeah.
He doesn't live in a place of what they call rigid masculinity. Rigid masculinity being women can't be friends with men. Nobody from the X should be around. You can't grow, evolve, and learn. Like, it's like my way, right? But a secure alpha male is so confident in who he is that he's not threatened by any other males and doesn't live in this world of rigid masculinity because of his assuredness about himself. So I thought that was really refreshing and actually allowed me to easily process that the past two gentlemen weren't anywhere in my wheelhouse that I should give them consideration. So,
Or maybe you should bump that up to the top of the list. Question number 1. Hi, it's very nice to meet you. How would you describe yourself? And an alpha male? Are you an alpha male? Are you secure or insecure?
you think someone's going to actually tell you that they're insecure?
No.
Yes, I find myself often being an insecure alpha male. All right. Well, anyway, enough of the dating. But
I can't get enough. I can't get enough. I love it.
I really think that I may very well be the Black Widow. And you know what? And I say that in the nicest way about myself because I don't take it personally that I'm so scary that someone has to get off the site. Really? But maybe what it is that I am so know what I want. The mirror to them is, do they know what they want? And if they're not ready for the relationship, a relationship, I mean, both those guys said they wanted long-term relationships. If they're not ready for it, then they got off and maybe are doing some healing or fucking somebody else over.
In the great words of Destiny's Child, they are not ready for your jelly.
I love that. I think
Your
I'm going to put that in
body-
my profile.
your
Who out there
body
is
is-
ready for my jelly?
Too bootylicious for them.
Maybe. Yeah. So that's been going on. It's taking up a lot of time.
Yeah, I do remember in my vague dipping my toe in the dating site world after my divorce. Number 1, I fucking hated it. I hated it so much. But also, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. But anyway, these gentlemen that I'm speaking to are very nice, and I'm looking forward to getting to know them a little bit better.
You know, I worked one time on set with this actress. She was telling me she was in the dating world and she was doing an experiment for herself and also like a social experiment. For a year, she was on a dating site and she was going to say yes to everybody who asked her on a date. Your face.
No way. I mean, my nostrils are even flaring. I'm like, that's a big tell for me. If the nostrils flare,
Your
horrified.
eyes got so big. She was going to say yes. She was like, I'm just going to go along the ride. I'm going to go along for the ride and see where it takes me.
And
Well, I don't know because we would just work together that one time. Like I think I ran into her at a couple of auditions, but I mean, she was a couple of months in and she was telling me about it and she said it was fascinating and that she was learning a lot about herself and also meeting some really great people that she never would have given the time of day. I mean, she hadn't met like a love match or anything and she knew that probably she wasn't going to go on a date with somebody that she wasn't interested in and find like the love match. But also it was a little bit of, this was a long time ago too. This was like 20 years ago. So
okay, there's a whole difference then.
no, there's not. Why is it different?
Because of technology.
There were still dating sites 20 years ago.
Yeah, I know, but it's with the FaceTime and the keep going
15
with your
years
story.
ago. Anyway, so her whole point was to just be like, you know what? Why not? And she said, and I believe when I met her, she was a few months into it. I mean, I think she was like 3, 4, 5 months into it and was saying like it was fascinating. And she, and some were like, yeah, no bueno, but some were like,
Well, that's
some
good. I mean,
interesting-
that's a good social experiment, like to do that in general. But I don't have the capacity. I want to meet someone and get to knocking boots. I don't need to be like on date 1 and have Groundhog's Day of dating every single day.
You want to meet someone and get to knocking boots right away, do you?
Not right away, but soon enough. So I don't need to be doing start overs every. There is a period of time, usually, that I wait before I engage in intimacy.
I was going to say, where are we going with this? So I think we might have just overshared a little bit.
No, I think
For anyone who is a future prospect of finding Girk's profile, just know that's going to be underneath. Are you ready for my jelly? I want to get to knocking boots fairly quickly. So let's get this show on the road.
My point being is that I don't want to, I mean, going to your point of if I only dated one person and after 2 dates they fall off and then I have to go back in and start over again, I'm just prolonging the idea of meeting somebody or really connecting with somebody.
I think there's the rub with dating sites, and that's why it takes so much work, because you think that you find, hence the guy from last week or 2 weeks ago, you think that you find somebody, and then it's very disappointing, even though you don't even know them that well. It's very disappointing because you put a lot of energy and you thought this was maybe going to be a person that was something, and then rug gets yanked and you're back to square one again. What is it, like Sisyphus pushing that rock up the hill? Oh, I just made a smarty comment.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, there's that. What about you?
I feel like I had a fun news story from weeks ago, but I'm pretty sure it's gone now. I don't remember what it was. We had moved on to something else, but so here's something interesting. Talk about like the year of just kind of saying yes and following what the universe is telling me to do. I'm overwhelmed with all the house stuff. And also, things are not going that great in that area.
Yeah.
The architect was a nightmare. We had to start
As I
over
recall.
again. And yeah, that whole thing was a dumpster fire. And also, I decided to go off my Lexapro. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It seemed like a good idea at the time. And also, I think it's causing me to gain weight after a year and a half. And so, yeah. But it's not the best timing. And, but why not? Why not add some more anxiety back to the mix?
Why not?
And then I saw a post where this organization called Ashes to Films was giving grants to filmmakers. And I was like, I always looked at some of my friends and thought, wouldn't that be great to these people who are making their own content. And that's what everybody used to say 20, 30 years ago, you got to make your own content. You got to make your own content. And I'm like, why? I'm an actress. I'm not a director. I'm not a writer. I'm not a producer. Can't a girl just be hired to act? Like, why do I have to take on why do I have to wear all these different hats?
Right.
I'm not good at any of those. So, I have this one job. I just want to do this one job. But then I saw it and I was like, why not? I'll fill out the application, because I had reached out to him and he was like, fill out the application. So I was filling out the application, and of course the application was like, what's your idea? What's the title? What's the treatment? Do you have a script yet? Attach the script. Every page I would answer a couple questions, and then on the next page I'd be like, oh. And then I'd stall out for like a week because I'd be like, I don't know what those answers are. So then I would try to figure it out. And then I got to the point where it was like, it needed a budget. So I was like, okay, I don't know a budget. Then I got to the point where it was like, do you have a script? No, I have an idea. Like, that was the whole thing sparked because we're about to move into our RV. And I thought, how funny would that be? Right. Like the two of us living in an RV together. And
Can't wait.
Who makes it out alive after 8 months. Right.
Listeners, there's a lot in store here.
I feel like it writes itself. So I kind of had the idea, but then it was like, attach your treatment. I'm like, oh, Google how to write a treatment. And then, 2 weeks go by and I'm like, I don't know. And then finally I remembered what everybody else is doing. ChatGPT.
I was just going to say that. Did you not ChatGPT it?
I don't think that way. So I had ChatGPT help me write a treatment because I was like, please help me write this treatment. So I put in my ideas and then it spit out some stuff. And I was like, yeah, but what about this? So ChatGPT and I went back and forth for a little bit, spitballing. I got the treatment, submitted it. Then the next page was like, what's your budget? And I was like, I don't know how to do a fucking budget. Oh, ChatGPT, do a budget for me. So I submitted it and they were like, a couple of weeks later, they were like, oh, we want you to come in for an interview. And I was
really?
Like, okay. So I'm like, fuck, I need a script. So, and then I run into a director that I had worked with, hired me in a bunch of commercials. I haven't worked with him in a little while, but I ran into him. He lives in Los Feliz. I'm now, in Atwater, and I ran into him in Atwater Village. And so I was joking with him about it, and he was like, I'll direct it. I said, what? What do you mean? And he was like, yeah, I'll direct it. So I messaged him later to say, are you serious? Because if you're serious, like I actually am in the middle of being interviewed for this grant. And he was like, yeah, just we need a writer because I'm not a writer. He's like, you need someone to write it. And then I'll just help like, what's the word I'm looking for? I will, whatever. Oh my God, I'm just totally spacing on the word he used.
Green
Like
light.
mold it. I'll like mold it and, somebody else needs to write it and I'll like help. And so I said, okay. So I'm like, fuck. So then I wasted more time trying to find a writer because I'm like, I'm not a writer and it needs to be someone seasoned. Like, do I know how to kind of come up with dialogue, whatever? Sure. But like to sit down and write something for the first time when it needs to be fast and good because Ashes to Film's timeline is very aggressive.
Yeah.
So finally, after wasting like probably a month of trying to find, calling everybody, trying to find a writer, and coming up with nothing, I just called a friend of mine that I had written some web stuff and I, workshopped some stuff with him and said, would you by any chance be willing to write this short film? And he was like, sure. So he wrote something in a weekend. We talked, he wrote it, sent it back to me. And I was like, great. Send it to the director. Director had a bunch of notes, sent the notes back to my buddy. And my buddy was like, I don't know how to do these notes, to be honest with you, because it really this is about your experience. And the notes that you wrote out to me with all the ideas of how it could be done, like you need to do this. So I was alone. My dude had gone up to his parents in Bishop and 2 days turned into a week. So I spent a lot of time alone that week. And I'm like, I'm just going to take a stab at it. So I helped flesh it out. Thank you. I'm very proud of myself. Normally I would have given up a long time ago.
I'm really proud of you with all the shit that you've going on. And I'm going to interrupt you, but just a recap in case you're new to listening to the show. Keek and her family they lost their home in January to the fires in California, the Altadena fire. And so she's been living in an Airbnb, and at the end of the month, she'll be moving into a trailer on the property where her house burned down as they're starting to try to navigate to rebuild this. So this is what we've been talking about a lot this year. And in the midst of all of this, she is telling us the story about how she's
going to take on a new project.
Try to get a grant for a short film about this experience, about living in the trailer. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Oh, boy. So then I had the interview. And then I got accepted. And
I'm so excited.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because normally my MO is that I would have given up at this point. I would have been like, this is, it's funny because I'm so persistent with so many things, but with stuff like this, there've been so many times where I was like, well, maybe I should do something like, nah, I'll just be hired to be an actor. Like, I'm fine just living in my lane. But I have to say, this has been a year of so many firsts, and most of those firsts have been really hard and really dark. And the point of Ashes to Films is it's a nonprofit organization that this gentleman, Shiloh Strong, started after he lost his home a few years ago. And he said the same thing. He was like, if somebody would have said to me that you would be running a nonprofit, 5 years ago, I would say you're out of your fucking mind.
Right.
But now he's doing it, and he has all these partnerships, and he has all these people helping. And I have a little baby amount of grant money, but I'm like, part of me wants to give up because I'm faced with raising a bunch of money. And it's really hard because I'm like, how do I do a crowdfunding? First of all, everybody says like, you got to crowdfund, but we also don't have a lot of time because the film has to be completed before Christmas.
Wow.
B, we don't have a lot of money, and that Ashes to Films has a lot of partnerships and we're getting things for free and whatever, but they're like, you really need to crowdfund, but you also don't have a lot of time to crowdfund. And also you can't do it by yourself. Crowdfunding is hard and you need a team. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't have a team. Of people that will crowdfund. I have a team for the film, but I don't have a team to know how to crowdfund. So yeah, I somehow have to manage to raise probably $10,000. Okay. And I'm not going to go to my family and friends because we did a GoFundMe for my house. So I'm not going to be like, hey. So yeah, there's a lot of challenges. We'll see if I can do it.
I think you can do it.
I hope so.
When you do it, not that I necessarily want to solicit this on our podcast, but
yeah,
for people that have been listening for a long time, they might want to contribute. So when you do get the crowdfunding up, we'll at least put a link on the page.
Share it. That's right.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I learned in my crowdfunding workshop is network.
Yeah. So let's do that.
I have moments where like I'll have one day where I'm just crying and overwhelmed and like I can't, it's not going to happen. I can't do this. And then the next day I'm really fucking proud of myself because I'll have some small win and be like, you know what? I can't believe that I'm actually doing this and maybe it will come together. So I don't know. We'll see. After this, I have another Zoom this afternoon for the first time with the line producer I found and the director that I keep waiting. Every day I keep waiting for him to quit and be like, no, I'm not going to be able to do it. Sorry.
You and I will talk off camera at another time, but I am really, really proud of you because I know personally, I'm getting all misty, because I know personally what you've been through. And I know this may not feel like an opportune time, but I think the universe presents us with opportunities. And even if it's just to deflect you from all of the grind and shit that you've been through. I say that though, even though the topic of your movie will be about what you've been through. However, I digress.
And it's a comedy. It's a dark comedy, my friends, because that's
sure
what I do.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Well, this has been a little bit of a informational show.
Yeah.
Where we've learned a little bit more about dating tips, what to do, what not to do as men and women navigating this nonsense.
And also follow what the universe puts in front of you, because I do believe that the reason why I keep going with this every day, even though some days I'm like, you're crazy, is because it is like literally the only positive thing right now that is bringing me any sort of like to-do list that sparks joy instead of the other to-do list, which is daunting and depressing.
Okay. Well,
so there you go.
Thanks for joining us for episode 250. We love you so much, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.